When discussing the story of Adam and Eve, a lot of people don't talk about the tree of life. Not the tree of knowledge, there was another tree in the garden called the tree of life.
The tree of life is first brought up in Genesis 2, verse 9.
So why do I bring up the tree of life? Because of this question. Do you think there were other humans in the Garden of Eden? For a long time, I was like, nah, I think it was just like an isolation experiment with just Adam and Eve in the garden by themselves.
But then I remember Genesis 3, verse 22, where God says that the man has not become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. After he drove the man out, he placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life.
Not only am I wondering why an all-knowing God would have to guard anything from anyone, like wouldn't he know if someone even had the thought to go and look for the tree? But more importantly, why would God need to guard the path to the tree of life if it was just Adam and Eve in the garden? The only two answers I can come up with is they weren't the only ones in the garden, or God knows that other individuals have access to the garden. God is guarding that tree from somebody. And in verse 22, God specifically says that man must not also be able to reach out and eat from the tree of life and live forever. So one would think that he's guarding it from other humans who could gain eternal life from eating the fruit, much like how Adam and Eve gained knowledge when they ate from the tree of knowledge, which also means that Adam and Eve were never meant to live forever, because God specifically says man must not also eat from the tree of life and live forever. People used to try to tell me that Adam and Eve were supposed to be immortal in the garden until they ate from the tree of knowledge, but that's clearly not the case, and it doesn't even make sense. So either there were other humans in the Garden of Eden that just weren't mentioned in the Bible at all, and God is guarding the tree of life from them, or God knows that humans could somehow find the garden and gain access to the tree and live forever. So you might have a point. Maybe there were other people in the Garden of Eden that just weren't mentioned, and those are the people that God is guarding the tree from. It's fascinating what you can find when you actually study the stories instead of just listening to a pastor tell you the stories.